right. Kyle, do you want to do that later? Okay. All right, guys. We are going to, first of all, go over questions, okay? So what can I help you guys with from yesterday?
Number 23.
23. All right, so let's look at number 23 from yesterday. Okay. And I'll just kind of get you started on it. Okay, so this is number 23, and first of all, you have to look at, you have two y's and you have two x's. You always want to do one equation with your x's and one equation with your y's. How you set them up, remember, you have those notes. If they're a line, you set them equal to 180. If they're across from each other and vertical, you set them equal. Do you guys get that these two form a line together, right? So what we would do with our y's then is we would say 2y plus 50 plus 5y minus 17 equals 180, okay? Then what we would do, we have two angles here that form a straight line. So once we find y, that is our answer, okay? I don't know if I told you guys this yesterday, but if you did this and you got like a long repeat or long decimal, chances are you did it wrong. If you're going to get a decimal, the most you would get is like 0.5, okay? 0.25 maybe. Put your computers away, guys. Now, so you're gonna do your math. Do you know how to do the math there? Yeah? Okay, if you're working on your homework, that's fine. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up our x's, and that would be 7x minus 248 plus x plus 44 equals 180. Do you want me to do one of these just to show you? Okay, so 7x plus 1x is 8x. Negative 248 plus 44 would be negative 204. And that equals 180, okay? Then I'm gonna add 204. And I would get 8x equals 384. Divide by 8, and x would be 48. Does that make sense? Okay. And then the same thing with your y's, you would combine like terms. Does everybody know how to like combine like terms on that side? Everybody okay with that? And then you would just solve that for y. What else can I help you with? Yeah. 20, all right. So if I look at 20, okay, let's see here. So what we're gonna have with number 20 is one of these is 2x, and one of them is 4x plus 108. Okay, Now, this has two x's, and so you're gonna put those together. And what you have to think about is, do they form a line together? And if they form a line, you add them together and set them equal to 180. Or are they across from one another? What are those two? Together, don't they form this straight line, right? So if they form a line, you guys took those notes down yesterday, that if the two angles form a line, add them together and set them equal to 180. So what we would do there is we would say 2x plus 4x plus 108 is gonna equal 180. 2x plus 4x is 6x plus 108 equals 180. Then I'm gonna subtract 108, and I get 6x equals 72. Divide by 6, and x is 12. And that would be your answer. If you guys set it up wrong, my guess is you would get an ugly decimal, like 12.57, blah, 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 you know, long thing like that. That should be a hint to you that you did something wrong. So if you had set them equal to one another and you get an ugly decimal, then think, well, maybe I should have added them up to set them equal to 180. And if you think you did it correctly, you set it up correctly, then just look through your math and see if you made a mistake, okay? Anybody else have questions? No? All right, if you guys are ready to turn in your assignment, can you turn it in here? Because I am gonna take your homework and put it in over the weekend. If you're not quite ready, that's okay, all right?
I put mine on that one.
Oh, okay, that's all right, you guys, I'll move them over for you. On Fridays, a lot of times I just want you to put it over by me so I remember to take them when I leave. Are we all good with that so far? Because today I have to say it gets harder today, okay? So, everybody's okay? All right, do we all have our notes out to this page right here? Okay? And then did I talk to you guys at all about if you're absent and you need an extra day? Okay, so say like today you were gone. For everybody else, the assignment is due on Monday, but if you needed to turn it in, you actually get 2 days to turn in for every 1 day you're gone. So if you were gone Friday, you really could take Monday and Tuesday to make that up and turn it in on Wednesday. The thing is, when I see something late, if it doesn't say absent on the top, then I think you turned it in late. So if you turn something in late because of an absent, just write absent on the top and then you're fine, okay? All right, so like I said, this is kind of tough, okay? But I'm gonna help you get started and then you'll have time to work on it. Today we get out at 9:03 because of the homeroom schedule. So we get out at like 5 minutes early. So what's gonna happen here is you are going to have word problems. And in those word problems, they're gonna say that you have 2 supplementary angles or 2 complementary angles, okay? Now, some of these questions are easy enough that some of you are bright enough that you could do trial and error and you could figure this out without writing an equation. But you're gonna see as we go through examples, they get harder and then you're not able to do them in your head and use trial and error. So because of that, we're gonna show you a way that works for all problems. And I would just get used to doing it that way and then that should help you. So if it says supplementary angles, you guys know that means they add up to 180, correct? what we're always gonna do is let like our first angle be X, okay? What do two supplementary angles add up to? 180, right? So if I told you guys one of the angles is 100, could you easily figure out what the other one is, right? What would you subtract 100 from to figure out what it was? Wouldn't you go 180 minus 100, which is 80, correct? If I told you it was a 20-degree angle, you'd go 180 minus 20. What if I told you your angle was X? What do you think you would do then? If it was 40, we'd go 180 minus 40. What if it's X? 180 minus X, okay? So when we do these, you guys, you're always gonna let your first angle be X, and then if it's a supplement, your supplement would be 180 minus X. If it's a complement, what do you think it would be? 90 minus X, okay? So we start there. The reason I make that box there is we're gonna put our answers there. So now here's what it says. Find the measures of the two supplementary angles. We already took that into account right here. If the difference in the measures of the two angles is, difference means what? Subtract, right? So what happens is we have to subtract these two angles. If you subtract X minus 180 minus X, that gets a little confusing because you'd have to change the signs on both the 180 and the X. So what I'm gonna do, I always call this one the uglier of the two. It's harder to work with. So when I go to subtract, I'm gonna put the uglier one first, the 180 minus X, and then I'm gonna subtract the other X, okay? And then it says the difference in the measures of the two angles is, what does is mean? Equals, and then 18. So I subtracted the two and set them equal to 18. Now, what's minus 1x minus 1x? Minus 2x. So I get 180 minus 2x equals 18. Then what would I do? Minus the 180 and bring that over. Okay. And I get negative 2x equals negative 162. And then we're gonna divide by a negative 2. And x would be a positive 81. Again, if you get an ugly decimal, you've done something wrong. You should get a whole number here. So x is 81. To find the supplement, you just go 180 minus that 81. So you just put that 81 in there, and 180 minus 81 is 99. So this is your answer right here. Okay, sometimes they ask you for the larger one, sometimes they ask you, what's the smaller of the two angles, but if you just put both of them both times, that's fine. Okay, leave them in the box like that, I'll know that's your answer. So now let's look at example 5. It says, find the measures of the two complementary angles, okay? So, with these, you always let your first angle be x all the time. These are complementary. So do you know what I would do for that? 90 minus x, okay? And then I make that little box. Okay. Now it says, find the measures of the two complementary angles, and we already took that into account. If the measure of the larger angle is, now we don't know which one is the larger, and it doesn't matter which one is the larger, But do you guys agree is means equals? So we're gonna take one of these, set it off to the side, and put equals. If I ever get to set one to the side, I set the 90 minus x, because I would rather not work with that one, okay? Then it's is. Is means equals. And then it's 12 more than twice the measure of the smaller one. My smaller one would be x. First of all, how do I write twice it? Twice is 2x, do you get that? Right? And then how do I do 12 more than that? Plus 12. Once you get to that point, you have your equation done, and then you just go ahead and do algebra. One thing I want to point out is I didn't do an example like this. Do you guys get if it had said 12 less than, that you have to do the minus 12 at the end? Do you guys understand that with less than? With more than, you could have added 12 on either side of this, but with less than, the minus 12 has to be at the end, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is solve this again. So I am gonna bring my minus x over to the right, and I get 90 equals 2x plus x is 3x, and then I have plus 12. Now I'm gonna bring my 12 over to this side, and I get 3x equals 78, okay? Then I'm gonna divide by 3, and when 3 goes into 78, let's see, is it 26? Okay. Now, I'm gonna go back up to my answer here, all right? And this was 26, what would this be then? 90 minus 26, which is 64. And again, this is your answer. Okay? Now, I'm gonna give you an assignment already, just because these questions are hard. And then I'm gonna do one of them from the book with you. You're gonna get a worksheet today as well as a book assignment. So when you turn it in, staple it together, okay? So I'm gonna have you guys copy this down first. And then I will do one of your questions with you. Yeah, the skills practice is a worksheet that I'm gonna give you, okay? And it does say on the top of the skills practice which ones to do. So you don't really have to copy that down because it does say on this worksheet which ones you have to do. Okay, so once you get that copied down, you guys, we're gonna do number 27. And you're gonna have to leave a lot of space for some of these because they're word problems, they're gonna take space, okay? So did I give you enough time to copy it? Everybody okay with that? All right, so on the top of your book assignment, we're gonna do number 27, okay? And I picked this one because it's the hardest one that you're getting assigned. So number 27, I'm gonna look here too. Let's go down here. just wanna make sure which ones I did. 26, 27, 45, 49. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's go back to 27, and the problem says, find the measure of the supplement of an angle, or the measure of a supplement of an angle is 40 more than 2 times the measure of the complement. So this one is weird because it has a supplement and a complement. This is the only one that has both. So that's why we're doing this one together. So let's go ahead, and on your page, we're gonna write that our angle is gonna be X, okay? Then, this particular one talks about a supplement as well as a complement. Okay? Now, from what we learned today, if our angle is X, what would the supplement be? Yes, 180 minus X. And the complement would be 90 minus X. Okay? And then we would have this box. So we're gonna have 3 answers in this one. Like I said, this is the hardest one you'll see. Now it says, if we go back and read this, it says the measure of the supplement of an angle is. So the supplement of an angle is. The supplement that we have is 180 minus X. Is means what? Equals. And then it says 40 more than 2 times the measure of the complement. Let's do the 2 times first. Do you guys understand if I'm going 2 times this, that I have to multiply 2 times both of these? So I'm gonna actually put that in parentheses, okay? 2 times it, and it's 40 more than that. How do I do 40 more than this? Plus 40. And when it's more than, it can be in the front or at the end. But if it's less than, it has to be at the end, okay? Now, let's go ahead and solve that. So I'm gonna keep the 180 minus X over here. Here, I'm gonna distribute 2 times 90 is 180 minus 2 times X, and then it's plus 40. Okay, now when I go to do this, let's actually combine the 180 and the 40 first. Okay, so I'm gonna get the 180 minus X equals 180 plus 40 is 220, and then I have minus 2X. And now what I'm gonna do is bring my X's to one side. I always bring my smallest X to the other side. Do you guys get a -2 is smaller than -1? So I'm gonna bring the -2X over to the left by adding it. Okay, I still have my 180. What is -1X plus 2X? -1 plus 2 is just 1, right? So it'd be plus X. -1 plus 2 is 1, so it'd be plus X. And that's gonna equal 220, okay? So if this is part of your assignment, so everybody should be copying this down. Now what we're gonna do is just solve for X, so I'm gonna subtract 180. And X is 40. Okay? Now if we go back up here, we just found X to be 40. What's my supplement then? 180 minus 40 is 140, and 90 minus 40 is 50. Now you guys could, once you get your answer, you could go back and check it, because what they said is that the supplement is 40 more than twice the complement. 2 times 50 is 100. 40 more than that is 140, so you can kind of check it too, okay? So, I'm gonna give you guys time. You're gonna work on the book assignment plus the worksheets. You may wanna do the word problems when I'm here and you can ask questions. And we're gonna try something. I'm gonna let you work with somebody today. We're gonna move our dust back at the end, but you can work with somebody today, okay?